Good afternoon, and thank you for attending the February Transportation U AZ event. Transportation U is a national hands-on interactive mentoring program that offers girls ages 13 through 18 an introduction to a wide variety of transportation careers. It's connected to Women's Transportation Seminar, or WTS, which is a women's organization for transportation professionals. I am Michael Book, a strategic communication specialist in HDR's Phoenix office. HDR is an international company specializing in engineering, architecture, environmental, and construction services. If you have any program or event questions, you can send me an email at michael.book@hdrinc.com. My email address is being placed in the chat right now. This event is also supported by Varsha Ravichandran, Event Engagement Specialist at WTS International, and Bree Balke, Community Relations Coordinator at Valley Metro. At this time, I would like to ask if you are a teacher hosting a group of students to please send me an email with your school, city, and the list of participating students. At the end of the program, we will randomly be drawing one student's name to win a gift card. If you are a student who logged in on your own, you can also type your school, city, and name in the chat to be able to have a chance to win the gift card. Each June, Transportation U AZ has a summit, typically in Washington, DC, although last year's was online due to COVID. I will be selecting one student to go on the trip with a mentor this year, who will be selected in the next few months as well. The eligibility for attending the summit is being a female student who is currently a junior or senior in high school. The Metropolitan Phoenix WTS chapter pays the expenses for the student to attend the event, which features a variety of transportation speakers and facility tours during the summit. It is really a great experience if you are interested in pursuing a future in the transportation industry. The best way, or actually the only way to have a chance to win this, is to continue attending these events, and secondly, to write a 500-word essay about what interests you about the transportation field and how the summit would benefit your future career. If you qualify and are interested, please complete your essay and send it to me by the deadline, which the deadline for submission is coming up on February 28th. And now for today's event. The Northwest Extension Phase 2 project will extend light rail west on Dunlap Avenue from 19th Avenue, the north on 25th Avenue, and across I-17 at Mountain View Road, ending on the west side of the freeway near the former Metrocenter Mall. This project has several unique elements, including Valley Metro's first elevated station in the light rail system. Today, the Valley Metro project manager, Tony Santana, is here to present the project information, including showing you some of the latest construction photos and videos. Tony, thank you for presenting to the Transportation U AZ group today.
Thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here and give you an update on an exciting project we have going here in Phoenix. This map here is just to give you a sense of where we're at. In the existing alignment's over 28 miles, as you can see on that the gold line there. It's an east and west running line from Mesa up to 19th Avenue and Dunlap out in North Phoenix. This project, once it is complete in 2024, along with another project we have going on Central to Baseline, which is a South Central Extension project, will now make our first true two-line system. So we'll no longer just be one line. If you're heading eastbound from Mesa and you want to get to South Phoenix, you do have to have a transfer at the downtown hub area, which is downtown Phoenix. So we'll have an east-west running line from Mesa to downtown Phoenix. And then once this project is complete in South Central, we'll have a north-south running line from Central and Baseline all the way to the former Metrocenter Mall. Some other things just to note quickly here on this map: in 2021, or actually this year, they actually pushed that out to April of 22. The Tempe streetcar, our first streetcar, will be built there in Tempe. And then in 24, shortly after these two projects, we have a extension out to the West Valley. But with that, that's our alignment. But today we're going to focus on the area that Michael is showing here that's boxed off, which is the Northwest Phase 2 project. As Michael pointed out, it's a 1.6 mile corridor, and in 1.6 miles, you would think that would be, there's not a lot of activities going on, but we actually have 3 bridges on this project. We have 3 stations, one of them being our first elevated station. We have a relocation of a transit center that's located on the southwest corner of the former Metrocenter Mall to be, it's going to be underneath our elevated station at the end of line area. And then we also have our typical traction power substations, which is how we get power from the utility provider to our trains. And then a signal building, which is actually whenever we have special track work on a project like this, and it just basically allows the train to get from one track to the other, we have to have a signal building. So it's the communication hub, basically like your computer that talks to the signal, and that's how our signal system is ran. And we have to have a signal building there for our maintenance folks. Go ahead, Mike. This is a earlier concept that shows the elevated station. As you can see, it's a unique station. We're very excited about it. It does have ADA access through 2 elevators, one near the parking garage that's further into the screen, which we'll see another exhibit here shortly, and another elevator here on the west side. So we have an elevator on each entry point, and then we have 2 escalators and stairs at the main entrance here that connects to the lower level bus stop. And then as you can see, there is exit lighting that will translate all the way through the bridge, and we have the ability to change those LED strips and lighting for certain events as we see fit at LA Metro. This is a view, if anybody's familiar with the former Super Salad building there, at the top of the page in the I-17 freeway, you can see we have on the north side of the elevated structure a 4-story parking garage that will have shade over it. And the actual connection to the elevated station is on the 4th floor. There's a pedestrian bridge that connects there on the east side. And then on the west side, we have all of our escalators and stairs that take you down to the bus transit center that is across the way of Metro Parkway. Good. This is a view from a concept from the street level on Metro Parkway facing south towards the former Metrocenter Mall. We'll have our security building. We will have full-time security, one for the lower level and one for the elevated station. And then you can see the train parked there on the elevated structure. And then below that is our bus loading zone for the plaza area. This is a unique view of what the operator will be seeing as it crosses over the I-17 and approaches into the elevated station. And I believe we have a video that will show you, give you an idea of what the design will look like and different perspectives of the operator and a pedestrian using our station.
Okay, just 1 second and I will get the video up.
No worries. So on this view, you can see it's kind of a quick video, but it gives you an idea of where the mall is and where we are for our elevated station. And as you can see, the bus transit center that circulates around the lower level of the elevated structure. So it is a big plaza area. If you do get fortunate to get out here, you'll be able to see how big the footprint is. This is approaching into the station. We just crossed the pedestrian crossing to the parking garage. And this is the approach. And you can see it, the elevation of this point is about approximately 35 feet in the air. So it's a really unique view of the city as you wait for the train. And this is exiting from the upper level down to the bus transit center from the escalators as you make the transition, either continuing to what the new development is in Metrocenter or to the bus plaza area. Now that we got through the design, the fun part is what we're at right now. And this is the hardest thing is design is great, the concepts are great, but then construction happens, and we try to really master this and get this done as quickly as possible so we can get the system up and running. In order to do that, what a lot of folks see is early in the project, they ask, what are we doing for a year and a half? And typically that these projects, since you're building the light rail system on an existing roadway, we have to be able to relocate all those utilities and widen out the road for our guideway that's 26.5 feet wide. So that's the first phase of any project, is relocating utilities and widening out the road so we can come in and build our track and get the light rail on Dunlap or any major road that we're building on. On this project, we did have a unique feature of the bridge. So you have to build the bridge before you can build the track. So that is unique to this project. And then finally, once we're done with the track and station installation, we have the power system that we have to install, and then we have to test that and integrate it to make sure it's functioning correctly and safely for the public and our operators. As we're building these projects, not only is safety's #1 priority for any of us on the construction site, we want to make sure everybody gets safe home to their families, but also we understand and we're aware that folks that are traveling in the public, from pedestrians to bicyclists to vehicles, we want to make sure they're safe as well. So if you're ever in our work zone, just be aware. There's a lot of signage. Pay attention to the signage. Definitely try to put your phone down. And as if you're walking in the work zone, please make sure that you stay within the dedicated pedestrian crossings and crosswalks. Do not go beyond those. They're for your safety. And we want to make sure that you're able to walk from point A to point B in a safe manner when you're in our work zone. And then also, just even on new track, even if you believe that the system's not working, never cross the tracks, use crosswalks, and do not cross any of the guideway that's not meant for a pedestrian crossing. That we use the signalized crosswalks. Some recent work, we actually, and if anybody is what took the I-17 freeway a few weekends back, we actually closed the entire freeway, and that was to complete and set our new steel tub girders, which go from basically pier to pier, which is column to column, to install those across the I-17. And that work was done, and we completed that work. So all the girders are set, and that's the only full closure we'll need to complete that bridge work. So that work is done. On Dunlap, we'll show you some images here shortly, but that's that phasing that we're talking about, where we do utilities, we road widen, we do that to one side of the road, and then we follow suit on the other opposite side. So we just made a major traffic switch and completed that, and now we're doing utility relocates on the opposite side of the road. And then we have we have 3 bridges. One of them is complete. The I-17 is ongoing, and the third one that we did start, and we're making great progress, and hopefully have that here completed by March, is for the Arizona Canal Diversion Channel. So that work is ongoing on 25th Avenue, north of Dunlap. Some ongoing activities we also have is just utilities. As I mentioned, we're in that early phase. We're still not to track yet. We plan on getting to track work later this summer. And then third-party utilities. And when we refer to third-party utilities, that's your APS, SRP, Southwest Gas, those kind of companies. So these utilities are not just focused on public utilities, which would be water, sewer, or storm drain. There's all sorts of utility relocates that need to be coordinated on this project. And then we also have an MSC wall, which is a mechanically stabilized earth wall, which is essentially the ramp for the I-17. And we have some really cool images of that later in the presentation. And then right now we're working actually on a 48-inch water line. That's a major scope of work. As you can tell, in the desert, anytime you're working on a water line, it's important. But a 48-inch water line is a lot of pressure, and you definitely have to make sure you're safe and do that correctly. And that work is almost 95% complete. So we're looking really good there, and haven't had any incidents to date. On this image here, you can see on the left, traffic and vehicle traffic was on the near the south side of the road, or on the south side of the road. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see from October to December, we flipped traffic to the north side. And that's all due to the relocations are complete. We added the sidewalk, we did the new pavement, and now we're going to do the same thing to the opposite side of the road. And that's how we build these jobs. And then the third thing we'll come do is we'll build the track down the center of Dunlap Avenue. This is an image of the trenching for the 48-inch water line, which it's a massive hole. You're talking about 12 feet deep, 8 to 9 feet wide. So these operations, these are why we keep pedestrians away from our work zone as much as possible. They're not small holes, and we don't want to have anybody have an incident near our work zone. This is a great image of the progress. So these are two of our bridges. The Arizona Canal is the one that has water in it. The Arizona Canal diversion channel is where we have all storm water that goes there. So there's two bridges over each one of these canals. You can see on the south side, the Arizona Canal is complete, and you'll see where the actual track is going. You can see the pocket slots there for the track. So we'll come back and put the track in when we start installing that. And this is a unique feature on the project. During the design phase, you try to find any way to save money on a project. So we actually did a value, what they call is a value engineering, where we design out of certain construction activities to save money on the project. And in this area, we were able to save approximately $5 million on the project by it was a complete demolition of both bridges, but instead of doing a complete demolition, we did a partial demolition and then built a light rail bridge only. And by doing that for both bridges, we were able to save approximately $5 million. So continuing here, this is right before you start the I-17 bridge. This is the MSE wall, or the ramp for the I-17. You can see where I have circled here. That's the start of the bridge. That's the abutment. So you have an abutment that starts the bridge, and that's where your foundation or your bridge structure starts, is typically at an abutment point. And with that, we got some more videos, I believe. So this is just taking you through as of September of 21, just showing you, we typically take drone video every month just to see progress and have updates throughout the project life cycle. And now that we do have drones, it's a lot easier to get this footage. So we actually have dedicated job just to do drone flying. So it's a unique job to have on construction, something I never thought I would be saying, but there is actual people that are pilots for the project that are taking footage for us throughout the life cycle of the project. On these images, you can see we're just doing a lot of utility work in that road widening that I was discussing. And here is where we ended, where Mike, on that last slide, where we had the Arizona Canal Bridge. This is north of the canal. This is at Rose Mofford Park. This will be a location of another station that we have. And then as we head north, this is Mountain View Road. And that's where we start our ramp to get over to the former Metrocenter Mall on the west side of I-17. This is the location of, we have another video that will show you building our bridge over the I-17. This is where the future elevated station will be. If you could see the orange area there, that's pretty much the midpoint of the elevated station. And then below, if you continue west, it will be that transit center and plaza area. And then where the crane is located, that's where our future parking garage, park and ride would be located. Fast forward it, Mike, a little bit. Yeah, I think we saw this video. Yeah, this is just there you go. Yeah, that's fine. This, you can leave it there, and just so they can see the progress. And you can see the location. So this is start of construction. This was the first phase, working on utilities. You can see the work site and the progress being made. And then eventually you'll start to see pavement. And then that's when we flip traffic. This is another good intersection to look at. Utility work, more utility work. Then we have the demolition. Then we put the new sidewalk, and then eventually our new pavement. So it's same cycles for pretty much every operation. The only difference between a project like this and a typical road widening project is just the adding of the track element afterwards. So about 50 to 60% of our job is widening the road, relocating utilities, and then there's a small piece of light rail that comes in. Same thing, there's more utility work at Rose Mofford Park. And you can just see the dynamic and how much it changes throughout the months. This is the columns. They actually coordinated with the artist to have a design on the panel to have that embedded into the column. So rather than just having a basic column, we coordinated with the artist to have an art feature on our columns and our ramp for this project. You can see in the background, there was a building where our crane is on this video. That actually, there was only one full property that we had to take. Early in design, we did have 3 properties we were going to have to demolish and take, but we were able to design around that and only affect only one property. That's just showing you the drilled shaft. So these are about 55 feet deep, and you can see all the rebar, and that's the structural support. So that goes in first, that's your drilled shaft, and then they'll build the column part up after that. This is an image of the steel tub girders that we set over the I-17. So those are tub girders that we installed for the I-17 bridge. Back to the slides. So this is more design coordination. These typically could just be a flat plain panel. We actually worked with the artist to have every one of these panels had to be specifically positioned to incorporate the artist design. So it was a coordination effort between the artist and the contractor and the design team to make sure these were installed correctly. So it's a unique feature, but it definitely takes a lot of coordination to get it done. On this image here, you can see that we didn't have the bridge built, but we'll show you a video of us actually completing that I-17 bridge work. But we do span where I have it circled here. That's the span. So typically if you're driving on the I-17, you'll see a column in the middle of the road. Well, this design is unique and we work with ADOT. They wanted us to span the whole freeway to help us stay out of their jurisdiction. So we actually do span 250 feet over the I-17. This is an image after you set the girders. The next thing you'll do is you'll place your concrete for your deck. And there's all that so the first thing we'll do is set the rebar, and then we'll pour concrete here, and that'll be your bridge deck on top. This is an image of a few of the concrete tub girders being set, actually being placed right here. And you can see in this image on the right-hand side of the contractor placing the tub girders. This is actually during the night work when we had the freeway fully closed, and we have a video to show you a time lapse of that work. But this was a full closure of the freeway to get this work done. Believe does this video play here, Mike?
It will be, we'll have a slide when we'll play the video.
Okay. Yeah,
Should
we'll have
be
a video.
almost there.
Yeah, we'll have a video showing this of actually them picking, you can see the freeway is closed, picking the tub girder and then setting it into place. Just more images of the connection on the far right, and on the far right, you can see we're completely connected across the way. And the last thing we'll do is once these are done, we have all the form, we have form work that you can see almost like bracing on the side. That's for the construction workers to get up there, and they'll have to place the concrete deck on top. So that allows them a safe workspace to work over the live freeway.
Okay, here we have some videos again.
Yeah, this is just a time lapse. You can see traffic is fully 100% going. And at about 45 seconds on this video, we'll slowly start to see police officers and cops, and slowly start to see traffic not be there. And you can see now we're fully closed. And we start quickly working, and you'll constantly see crews working and people on the site for the entire weekend as we set the girders. And these girders were actually delivered from Coolidge, Arizona. So everything had to go perfect. And it, luckily for us, it did. Every one of them was set within a 16th of an inch. All of the girders were made it here safely without any incidents. So all those factors come into play, because if anything goes wrong, then obviously it delays, and we'd had to have a second closure the next weekend, which nobody was trying to entertain. But it's like, as I mentioned, it's just a lot of moving pieces. And this video just shows you that it's not easy to build a bridge in the first place, but building it in a weekend over the freeway is definitely a challenge. And spanning over the freeway was half the battle, but we were able to get it done. And a unique thing that you do whenever you build bridges like this, especially if they're precast, we actually, at the facility where they're manufacturing it, they actually put the bridge together pretty much at the manufacturing, at wherever they have it on offsite before they get here, to make sure everything does splice in and everything is ready for installation. So we did have that benefit, but I mean, like anything, you just never know until you get out there and start building. And luckily for us, this went perfect. But you can fast forward a little bit, Mike. It's pretty much the, yeah. Maybe show the other video of them actually picking one up. This is one of the girders being lifted up by our cranes and being placed, are going to be installed in over the I-17. I don't know if this video shows the whole setting. Did you fast forward it a little bit? Yeah, see if we can. Doesn't get, yeah, there we go. I think this one cuts off short. And these tubs are not small by any means. They're about 7 feet, 6.5, 7 feet tall, if you're standing inside the tub.
Tony, do you have any idea what one of those weighed?
Oh, it depends. I can find out for you. I don't, they varied on the concrete one. The concrete tub girders weighed more, and it was hundreds of thousands of pounds. I believe it was around 100,000 pounds, if I remember correctly.
And so from this point, I will take over on the presentation, since this is the project that I'm working on. And what I do is community relations for the project. So every Valley Metro light rail construction project does have a community relations coordinator working on it. And basically what our role is, working with the public, with the businesses, alongside construction. And just during the course of construction, just to make sure that everyone's okay, that if they have any questions, that we're addressing it. If there's any issues, we're also working with the contractor to make sure that these items get addressed. But so it's something that generally for my role, I'm starting even 6 months before construction. I'm getting to know what businesses, what residents are located alongside the corridor, starting to get the information for if we do need to contact them, making sure that we have that all in order. And throughout the project, not only do we go out there in advance of any time we have to maybe close a driveway or do something like that, but I try to be out there proactively just to give them information and just in general about what we're doing, what what stage we're at in the project. People generally are, especially at the beginning, they're asking how long the project's going to be. These projects are usually 3 or 4 years long. So then they kind of roll their eyes when I say that, and don't ask me again until a couple of years later. But it's always interesting. There's always a unique mix of people. In this case, some of my prior work that I've done, there's been a lot of mom and pop types of stores and restaurants that we're working with. For this extension, there's actually a lot more chains, not as many local restaurants. Some are local franchise owners, but they're all a lot of the bigger restaurants. And Bree, she's got the next slide to kind of talk more about what her role is in the project as well.
Yeah, so I'm Bree Belke. I've been helping Michael with the Transportation U and I'm just loving it. I wish I had something like this in high school. But yes, I do business assistance on this project. I've been with Valley Metro for about 4 years. And this is the first time I've done business assistance. Before I was in a role like Michael's over at Tempe Streetcar. So I've been having a lot of fun interacting with these businesses and the business owners. And basically what we're trying to do is help support them and let them thrive through construction, which can be difficult. As we looked at those photos of the utility relocation, that is not easy work. They are definitely tearing up the street in front of your business. And so coordinating with these businesses, trying to promote them through promotional mailers, doing community events, which right now is just working with Friends of Transit to do Transit Tuesday events where we show up in a big group and try to support the restaurant. And then Friends of Transit gives a $5 off coupon per person. So we've got events like that, and hopefully we'll have bigger community events as COVID dies down. But also we always are looking for partner resources, trying to connect the businesses to those resources and grant opportunities. So I really find a lot of satisfaction in my job because I'm trying to help these businesses not only survive construction, but hopefully come out of it a little bit stronger and to be able to say, hey, this is a good experience overall. We like being in this community and now we've got light rail to be part of it. So my background was always in customer service. It was always in constituent services. My degree is in political science and paralegal work. So I just had a sense that I enjoyed working with people. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I never thought I'd be on transit projects, but I've had such a blast. And I truly believe in what we're doing. We're bringing public transit options to our communities. So I find it very satisfying. And it's something that, of course, I think Tony should go into and Michael about their backgrounds and how they ended up being where they're at. I think it's helpful to see that what you go into college or what you do right after high school might not need to be as important. Don't stress about it too much. I'll let Michael and Tony go into that a little bit more.
Probably being, with Tony's background, he probably had to be pretty specific about what he wanted to do, I would imagine. I'll let him explain that in a second. For me, you're right. I went to NAU and got a degree in advertising. So it actually is quite useful for what I'm doing now, but I did not know I was going to be working on projects like this when I graduated. I thought I'd be working at an ad agency or something. So what about you, Tony?
Honestly, I think opportunities like this and being able to sit and listen to presentations like this would have really helped me too. I knew I was good at math, science, and those subjects going through elementary school and high school, but going into college, I had no idea that engineering could help me become a project manager of a $400+ million job for light rail. So with that being said, I had no idea, but I knew I was good at something, and that's why I love being a mentor. I love talking to students, and because not everybody has the same background, right? And my mother was a administrator at a school, and my dad worked in a warehouse, so engineering was not something talked about at my house. But I was just fortunate once I got into college, it kind of was an open book. I heard about engineering tied with math. Usually math kids are good at engineering. And then just getting the right mentors to eventually talk to me and put me in the right place of, hey, your skill set's this, maybe this type of engineering is a good way to go. So I think programs like this and mentoring programs are huge. So if you're sitting there in high school and you're not understanding what you want to do yet, don't panic. But listen and talk to folks that have careers and go in there, and they have opportunities for you in externships and even volunteer, and figure that out. And I promise, if you do be passionate about what you are good at, practice your typical skills of teamwork and getting along with folks. And those are essential things that you can learn in high school without the college part yet. So practice those now with, if you're playing sports or anything like that, a team environment, use those skills, and then get the mentors to try to help you place you into something you're passionate about.
And you know, for me, coming out of high school, I was accepted into the College of Engineering at Arizona State University. I wanted to become an aerospace engineer, and things happen. It's a story behind that, which I won't get into, but I ended up not doing that and took a step back, went to community college for the first 2 years, got all the regular classes out of the way. And I didn't even know at that point, going through those first 2 years of community college, which route I wanted to take. So you don't have to decide right away. It takes a little time sometimes. And, you know, you never know what might influence you to choose a certain career.
And Michael brings up a really good point, because I was at ASU trying to figure out what I wanted to be. I thought I wanted to be a high school PE teacher and ended up going into political science instead. And I was working full time for the very end of when I was at college. And so I really did utilize certain skills and realized that I was good at interacting with people, and that I would enjoy doing that. And not that I don't like, sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be a high school teacher. I give high school teachers so much credit, because I know it's a really tough job, but don't be stressed out. I guess that's the right word to put. Like, there's so many career options. Always keep those in mind. And a lot of them have to do with transportation, which of course the three of us absolutely love.
So before we get to questions, I see Alex Albert has a question. We'll get to her in a second. Before I leave this slide, Bree, can you promote maybe our next Friends of Transit event, kind of explain what it is too?
Yeah, so our next Friends of Transit event is going to be on March 15th at Outback Steakhouse. And what it basically is Friends of Transit. It's a nonprofit. They help sponsor the event. And the first 100 customers that come into the restaurant get $5 off their meal. What's great is that Outback is not out any money. Friends of Transit covers that cost. So we're able to kind of gather as a community and help support a business that had to deal with a lot of that bridge construction. All those videos we watched, Outback Steakhouse was right there. So they were dealing with lack of customers, trying to find their business. So this is a great way of us supporting them. It's fun, and it's definitely the community coming in to help support. So the next one's at Outback Steakhouse, and hopefully we'll have some things up on our website shortly.
Thank you, Bree. And the last thing I would have to say about community relations that I failed to mention was a lot of cases we are working with the businesses, the public, and if there is, a lot of times we can't avoid impacting them, shutting down a driveway, but we really work with them to try to make it as least impactful as possible. When we're rebuilding, we have to demo driveways and rebuild them because we're putting in new sidewalks throughout the whole corridor and driveways. And in a lot of cases, we'll build it half and half if a property only has that single access to allow continual access to that property. So, and in other cases of if they have to do a scheduled water shutdown or electrical shutdown of a building, then we always let people know 7 days in advance and then remind them 24 hours in advance. A lot of times we'll get feedback on that first 7-day notification that, oh, well, a certain business, you know, it would be better if we could try to do it on a weekend or at night rather than the daytime that it might have been scheduled for. So we really try to make those adjustments when possible. Sometimes we can't, like we're really limited as far as what we can do, but there are many times that we can at least make some adjustments to help everyone out that we're impacting. So we do try to do that as well. So, oh, we're going backwards. Okay. So at this point, if you do have any questions, please either type them in the chat. If you'd like to ask a question directly to Tony, you can click at the bottom of the screen on participants, then click on the raise your hand option. Bree will then call your name and unmute you so you can ask the question. And after the question has been asked and addressed, please click the raise your hand option again, so your raised hand is removed. So go ahead and do that. I see Alex Albert has already done that, and I know she's been waiting a while, but Bree, do you want to start with Alex, please?
Hey guys, can you
Hi
hear me?
there. We can hear you.
Great. Thank you for the great presentation. It was really exciting, and I'm too excited to ride it and see the new station and everything. And I just wanted to, I have a question about the tub girders. And then I wanted to reinforce for any students on the line what you guys have been saying about working in community relations on transportation projects, that if you're looking into engineering, or if you're looking into other planning or other opportunities to work in transportation, I applaud you, and I applaud you for doing things before you get out there into the workforce to decide what you want to do. 21 years ago, I was hired by Valley Metro when we had about 17 employees, and have been working in transportation and enjoyed every single day since then. So I understand, Rudy, you're a teacher, you have students in the room. You guys are awesome. And if you pick a career in transportation, I guarantee you'll be working with some of the finest people out there, really. I'm interested in the steel, into the tub girders, Tony, because I'm working with AASHTO on a new innovation where they're forming tub girders for bridges with steel press brakes. And so I was wondering if those are steel press brake form girders.
No, we haven't looked at that. These are just your typical, well, one's just steel, but the other ones are the concrete, were typical pre and post tension girders. So, but I'm interested to find out about that one.
Yeah, I will put a link in the chat for you. AASHTO is championing that innovation among others. And I think it's something that people who, like you, and maybe those students in the room with Rudy, will maybe using one day soon.
Yeah, the only thing, one of the innovations that we're actually using, we're the first light rail project for our at-grade. So our track slab typically has rebar reinforcement. On this project, we're going to use steel fibers, so get rid of those completely. And we're the first project in the country to use that, other than Europe. Europe is ahead of us, but we're trying to lead the way here. And we're looking like we worked with ASU, did many studies and research on it, and we were able to not only get rid of the rebar, but also reduce the slab thickness from 14.5 inches to 12. So you're good. That's normal. But yeah, so that's one of the things we're doing. So anytime it's the one thing that we've learned, and as cost increase, the one way you combat that is in ingenuity, and that's where we need a lot of leaders, and these folks on this phone are going to be those leaders that, as construction cost goes up, your brains are what help us get to a cheaper cost. So your minds are what really help us in these engineering solutions to save on materials and be more sustainable and build better projects going forward.
Okay, so it looks like, hold on just 1 minute here. It looks like Rudy has a really great thing here. He says a number of students are accepted to ASU and Glendale Community College next fall. Where does transportation education fall under, besides engineering, of course?
Ooh, there's a whole lot. There's many aspects of these projects. So we have, from what Michael and Bree are working on with business outreach and community outreach. There's actually working with our operations side from management positions. So yes, there is more than just engineering. There's also construction management. Those are other projects or positions or degrees, I guess you can pursue. But even going out and getting there public involvement opportunities. Communications is a key component. That's a really good degree. If you're used to talking with folks, you like to be a public speaker, communications is a really good degree to have, and you need that skill set in whatever whatever career path you pursue. So
And for those who don't, pursue college in the future too, there's potential just with some of the construction jobs as well. So there's, if a student isn't pursuing the college option, there's still other options to get involved with transportation.
yeah, we have apprenticeship programs that we can contractors train their folks, and you get paid to learn on the job essentially.
So great.
Yep.
And then something I mentioned in the chat earlier was, of course, we had to work with real estate and lawyers in order to get those properties purchased. So we could tear down the building and build the light rail. So there's a lot of different components. Public administration would probably be a really good one because we are navigating a lot of government through this process, because of course our partner city right now is City of Phoenix. They are our client because we're building the light rail to be in the City of Phoenix. So it's really, there's so many avenues for you to take and still be in public transit. And for example, our project, we have so many people on the project with so many different skill sets and backgrounds that I just really enjoy that.
Yeah, and even the wide diversity group you need on light rail projects, because you're building in an urban setting, you're building in front of a school, a hospital, someone's home. So having a diverse group, if we've had some of our community outreach folks that were school teachers before or a police officer, they convert over really well because they have a different perspective that people are dealing with when they have, especially when we get to construction.
So one of my goals with Transportation UAZ is to try to get as many different transportation related speakers as possible. I know, Rudy, your group wasn't able to attend the last presentation, but we had MB Finnerty, who's a public art administrator for Valley Metro. So even the art realm is covered as well. So you can just about human resources, you can probably just about get into any form of job, and you can eventually work in the transportation field. So
and something that I'm always laughing at is the pile of invoices going through everyone's offices, because of course these are all transactions taking place with purchase orders, and I mean there's a lot of necessary people on these jobs that make things happen.
Yeah, and in the chat, Albert mentioned real estate and right of way. That's a big component. I mean, they do a lot of hard work to make sure everything's ready by the time construction is ready to do the work in front of those properties. So, and graphic design too, she mentioned. Are there any other questions, Bree, that you see?
I don't see any others.
Okay, we'll give everyone a couple more minutes to figure out if they have any other questions to ask. So I tried to get a list from Rudy of the students participating so I could pick the winner of the gift card, and that I think he was too busy. He was probably planning on sending me the list after this. But in the meantime, Tony, do you want to maybe come up with a question to ask his class? That's the first one who can answer it maybe wins the gift card. And as far as the gift card is concerned, it will be a $35 gift card. I haven't even bought it yet, so whoever wins it can let me know what they like, and I will buy it for that. So I know
Rudy
that
just
they can use it.
placed in the chat a really good question, and I think Tony should probably answer this one. Is what is a stressful job situation that you've been in?
Well, closing a freeway wasn't an easy one. I think the biggest stress that we always see is that we are building a construction in front of folks, and me even commuting to work. I have family members that live on Dunlap, right? I hear it all the time that traffic, I can't deal with construction traffic, and it's not just this project, it's any of them. So my biggest thing when it's a stressful situation is being able to build the work. As a project manager, it has to be on time and under budget. But at the same time, also being empathetic to the community around you. So whenever we have those situations, that's when it becomes difficult, because the contractor wants to get it done as soon as they can. And it becomes stressful on me because there's decisions where sometimes we just can't have a full closure of a certain street or roadway. So it's trying to balance those between what the contractor wants and needs to get done, but then also working with Bree, Mike, and the rest of the team to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to make this as painless as possible for the community. And those are the daily stresses that we have to deal with. And Mike knows that he gets the calls. He's our voice to the community out there. And those stresses tend to get on you a little bit more because I'm from Phoenix. I live in the area. I have people, so I don't even get a walk from the job and then I'm relieved. I still get complaints even at home. So those are the stresses of the daily stresses of the job that weigh on you a little bit, but you just do your best to learn from previous projects and experience and keep the contractor moving.
What about the toughest challenge you've had? You've worked on a few light rail projects. What would be maybe the toughest thing that you had to work with or work around?
I think when we built an actual station on the existing alignment. So we had to build 2 stations on north and south of our existing light rail system. So the coordination and the efforts that took to build that project were intense, but it was for a good cause. It was a 50th Street station over there at 50th Street in Washington. There was an ADA specific ability 360 community center that was there, that we built the station because it was almost a mile from the nearest station to that facility. And with it housing ADA specific folks at that community center, it really meant a lot to get it done, but at the same time coordinating that effort and trying to build a station while you're still trying to maintain headways for your light rail system was an absolute project-wide challenge. Typically, on a daily, the stuff that we deal with is contractual language. Contractors they're in the business of making money. We understand that, but as an owner, from the owner's perspective, my job is to protect the tax dollars. And so we're always having a constant reading of agreements. So in engineering school, the one thing they taught you is being very analytical. You do deal with a lot of numbers, but on these projects, they just never told me how much reading I would have to do. Fortunately, I've read these contracts enough where I'm pretty good at Valley Metro's contract language, but that's a lot of the issues you deal with is just interpretation of contracts, interpretation of specifications and drawings. And if the contractor can see a way to get money out of it, they're going to try. But our job is to protect us from giving them money when it's not justified. Fair and reasonable, but it has to be justified.
So Rudy did send me another question from the classroom, and he asks, how will the new bridge, it's actually 2 bridges, how will the new bridges be designed to keep from trespassers off of them?
So one thing we did, the reason it is 2 bridges, typically we could have bridged those 2 bridges to make it 1. What we did was we only wanted room for an emergency egress situation. So by doing that, it gives the perception that the train can only fit and pedestrians will not walk over. And we also do have a camera intrusion detection system on the ramp area, as well as on the west side of the station. So there is a camera intrusion system as well if somebody still tries to get on that bridge, which we're assuming that most likely will happen. But if that intrusion detection, we do have full-time security guards to intercept them and hopefully get them off the bridge. But ideally, the theory behind the design to remove that middle deck and not make it such a wide bridge across the 17 was to really give that perception that it's truly only for light rail.
Alex Albert has asked another question, and she asks, will either bus or light rail headways be adjusted to make transfers between bus and rail faster? And typically, I can probably answer this one.
Yep.
So typically, those are items that Valley Metro does look at. In fact, twice a year, Valley Metro is making adjustments to the bus routes and light rail. Not as much light rail, but especially the bus routes and the schedules for them. So I would think that would be something that when our extension is in place, they do take a look at that as well. But typically in October and April are when they do the service changes, and they always put it out for public feedback as well. But that is something that they do adjust.
And just the efficiency too, by moving the transit center alone should help improve the time it takes to get off the freeway. Before, they had a loop around to the west side of the Metrocenter mall. So it should improve that turnaround time. If, for example, if you're on the I-17 rapid heading southbound into downtown Phoenix, you're going to get off, you're going to go to the frontage road there. We do have a stop now on the I-17 frontage road, so they don't have to go on the loop. So there is some efficiencies we did through the design to try to minimize the time off the freeway, for example, that you had to go. So the design, at least the routes for the bus stops or for the bus routes, were thought about and try to minimize and be as efficient as possible.
Great, thank you.
And any other questions? I still haven't received Rudy sent me a message. He was going to send me a list. I still haven't received that. So I'll give him just another minute or two to send me something. And then Albert, I will give you the forum here if you want to talk about WTS student membership.
Thank you. So for the students that are on the line, I wanted to let you know that if you want to continue to be involved with the chapter and the kinds of things we do, like Michael's program, Transportation U, is that we have a student membership, and I'm the director of membership for the chapter. You can go to our website, and I'll put the link in the chat, and you can look at the other items and the things that we do as well. We do offer scholarships, which in the coming years may be of interest to you, and we would be most happy to have you as a member. Thanks, Michael.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so it does look like Rudy did send me a list, and I will just ask Tony to pick a number between 1 and 6.
5.
Okay, it looks like Ashley Hernandez Chavez is the winner of the gift card. So congratulations, Ashley. So, and thank you, Rudy, for coordinating that with your classroom. We really appreciate it. And I will be in contact with you about, find out from Ashley what kind of gift card she wants, and then I'll work with you to get it to her. So thank you so much. And I think that is it then for today. So thank you for joining us for Tony Santana's Northwest Extension Phase 2 presentation. This session has been recorded and will be available on the WTS Metro Phoenix chapter website at some point next week. The link will also be available on the Transportation U, AZ, Facebook, and Instagram social media sites. And if you can, please forward the recorded virtual event link to any other teachers, students, or other individuals who would be interested in this, and please encourage them to join the remaining events that we have for this school year or to view the recorded sessions. In addition, go to those sites for information for upcoming program events. And one last thing here, let me get out of the presentation, but our next event is this one, Wednesday, March 9th. We have Jennifer Donaldson, who is a project manager for Stacy and Whitbeck. And she was the project manager on the last light rail extension I was working on, which was the Gilbert Road extension in Mesa. And so very good, interesting journey about how she got to be where she is. So hopefully you can join, but I'll start advertising it shortly, but here, you are the first ones to know, March 9th at 3 p.m. But once again, I'm Michael Book. If you have any program or event questions or suggestions, please send me an email at michael.book@hdrinc.com. And again, thank you to Tony for presenting today. I hope everyone has a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.